back to Triplecast, episode number 13, where we kick off a new series that kind of goes along with the one we just finished, which was Ridley Scott. The last episode was Alien. This is the Alien trilogy, so we're going to have the quadrilogy by the time we're all done. Today is Aliens, the James Cameron sequel. Stick with us. Hello, Clint.
Hello, Mr. Darrell.
Wow. I didn't know that you had such respect within you.
Well, you can see I wore my bow tie. This is a very formal episode.
Yes, that's a very nice-looking bow tie. This is being video recorded and posted up to YouTube, so people are going to be able to see the truthiness of your statements, Clint.
Truthiness. Well, then I guess I better use this used Kleenex from 3 years ago and make myself a bow tie.
Okay. That's fantastic. I didn't know you knew origami so fluently.
I'm pretty good at it. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty awesome.
So, you doing all right?
I am, indeed. I'm really excited about bashing these next three movies with you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I don't know about that.
No, I'm not going to bash them.
Okay.
Too much.
Yeah, only one of us can bash them, and I had planned on doing that. So, you need to rethink your strategy. No, I'm just kidding. Mostly. But what we're doing here, the idea is, as we're doing these four Alien movies now, leading up to Prometheus, which comes out in theaters 1 week from tomorrow. We're recording this on May 24th. By the time this hits the feed, it's definitely going to be less than a week away. Pardon me. It'll definitely be less than a week away before Prometheus hits theaters. I am super duper excited about Prometheus. Even before I saw any of the Alien movies, I was super excited about it. That's what made me want to go through and watch all these Alien movies, just because Prometheus looked that good to me.
Yeah, definitely. I think Prometheus looks extremely good. It's got Ridley Scott
directing,
which we're both big fans of, right?
Yes.
We did the Triplecast.
Yep.
Damon Lindelof.
Writing,
so it's going to be great at the beginning, and then the ending is going to be terrible and negate the whole movie. Just kidding.
Damon, let's be clear. This is the voice of Darrell, the one who appreciates all 6 seasons of Lost.
And this is the voice of Clint, that loved that house episode where you got kneed in the groin.
That was a great response. That's fantastic. That was one of your best ones ever.
Oh, thank you.
We're here today to talk about Aliens. Now, just to be clear upon clear, if you're not aware, episode 12 of the Triplecast was the movie Alien. So if you're listening to this and you're wondering what's up, why didn't we start with Alien? We wanted to do all 4 movies. So we put that one at the end of our Ridley Scott movie so that the 4 in a row would be the Alien movies. So go back and listen to episode 12 of Triplecast if you're wondering where our Alien breakdown is.
That's right.
So today we're talking about Aliens, the sequel to Alien. This one was directed by another big blockbuster director, although not quite there yet by the time he did this film.
I think he had just come, if I remember correctly, and I could have my timing wrong, I think he had just come off of Terminator.
That is correct. There's a really interesting point there.
Yeah, and there's actually a lot of similarities between the future scenes in the beginning of Terminator and these planetary scenes.
Yes.
Here with this show. So he had come off one very successful, which started out as a low budget but ended up very successful action sci-fi movie, Terminator. Moved into this, and then his career just went from there. He did The Abyss and Titanic and Avatar.
Titanic 3D.
Avatar 2.
Right. No, that's true. I mean, it hasn't come out yet, but he's very much developing that. Now, the interesting thing about how Terminator ties into this is he loved Alien, wanted to do a sequel to it, and had in what he thought in his mind was a really good script for the sequel. Approached 20th Century Fox about doing it, and they said, tell you what, if the Terminator is a successful film at the box office, you can have the Alien sequel.
Really?
Yep. And
I guess we knew who won that one.
And he did. So that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was directed by James Cameron. It was also written by James Cameron, as Darrell alluded to.
Right.
It, of course, starred the star of all 4 Alien movies, at least
The 4 that count.
the 4 that count.
We're not counting Alien versus Predator or what's it?
Alien versus Predator 2. I lost count.
I don't know what that one's called. Yeah, but we're not counting those 2.
Right. Or Prometheus.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Which we're not even sure is an Alien movie, but we think it is.
It is.
It is for sure.
Have you seen the commercials?
I've seen the trailer. It looks identical.
Yeah, it does.
But they said it was not an Alien movie, that it was about the larger mythology.
Well, we'll find out.
Okay.
It'll be part of the same universe. That's for sure.
All right. Star Sigourney Weaver as
sorry, we got distracted there.
Ellen Ripley. Michael Bane, who was also in the first Terminator. He played John Connor.
Oh, yes, he did. Yes. Yep.
As Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Reiser as Carter Burke.
Yes, he was in there.
He was mad about you, Darrell.
I was mad about him being in the movie, but we'll get to that.
Yes. Lance Henriksen as Bishop,
who
played the android in this version of the film. And, of course, Mr. Bill Paxton.
Yes.
As the whiny Private Hudson.
Yes.
He should have a little cheese to go with that wine.
Game over, man. Game over.
We're toast, man. Aliens are going to kill us, man.
We had to do that at some point through the podcast.
Hey, speaking of which, thank you, Joe Spiff, for correcting me. I said Michael Bane was John Connor. John Connor wasn't even born yet. It was Kyle Reese, who's the father of John Connor.
Is that what it was?
In Terminator. I know better than to say that.
I thought he played John Connor in one of the films.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. That sounded right to me when you said that. That's why I agreed so wholeheartedly, because that sounded right to me.
Yeah, I apologize.
Okay.
The music was done by James Horner.
Okay.
Who, of course, did music for Glory, which I attributed to like last week or 2 weeks ago when we had the Ridley Scott one, the Hans Zimmer.
Okay.
So, another correction. That's like 2 and 30 seconds. That's terrible.
You have to be good on this stuff, because I'm going to agree with 90% of the stuff that you throw out, because I don't watch many movies and you do, and I know you know your stuff. So I'm going to trust you. You're going to make me look foolish like you just did with the John Connor if you don't know your stuff.
Okay, Darrell.
The responsibility is all on you, Clint.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I won't let it happen again.
All right. No, I'm just messing with you.
All right, maggot.
The budget on this one was 18.5, which is a pretty decent budget for its day.
Right.
Did we say what year this was made? It made in 1986.
Right.
And the world box office, it brought in $131,060,248. So
$1 million. That's a lot.
Yeah. Very successful at the box office.
Very successful.
Yep. How did it perform at the award ceremony?
It actually did really well for a, what would you call it, an action sci-fi
I would call this
sequel?
one an action sci-fi, not a sci-fi horror like Alien was. This was a sci-fi action movie.
So it won 2 Oscars, one for Best Effects Sound Effects and one for Best Effects Visual. It also got nominated for 5 more. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, it is, actually.
Sigourney Weaver was actually nominated for Best Actress as Ripley. It also got nominated for Best Art Direction, Best Editing, Best Music for James Horner, of course, and Best Sound. And Darrell, if they haven't seen this movie, they need to stop.
Yes.
Go watch the movie.
We are going to spoil.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the kind of movie where you're like, oh, they spoiled the ending.
Right.
But you should still watch it.
That's right. I watched it. I watched all 3 of these in this Triplecast on Amazon. I got a 48-hour rental with Amazon, so I watched all 3 of them through Amazon.
And I watched this one and Alien Resurrection on Vudu.
Okay.
Because I'm able to do that on my iOS device.
Right.
And I'm not able to do that on Amazon.
Right. That's right. I wish you could.
Yeah, but Vudu did not have Alien 3 to rent, only to purchase. So I had to get it on Amazon.
Okay. And iTunes also has all 3 of these available.
That's correct.
Yep. All right, the plot, which we got from IMDb, says 57 years after Ellen Ripley survived her disastrous ordeal, her escape vessel is recovered after drifting across the galaxy as she slept in cryogenic stasis. Back on Earth, nobody believed her story about the aliens on the planet LV-426. After the quote-unquote company orders the colony on LV-426 to investigate. Is that right?
However.
Yeah. However, all communication with the colony is lost. The company enlists Ripley to aid a team of tough, rugged space marines on a rescue mission to the now partially terraformed planet to find out if there are aliens or survivors. As the mission unfolds, Ripley will be forced to come to grips with her worst nightmare, but even as she does, she finds that the worst is yet to come. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so let's get into our thoughts on the plot.
Okay. I thought the plot was pretty good. They did a nice job of making a believable story to have Ripley return. I thought that, there's no way after the first movie that she'd want to go face the aliens, but they
Sure.
did a good job with the nightmares,
Uh-huh.
And Ripley being motivated to make sure that these aliens are destroyed and that they didn't hurt anybody else. I mean, they did a really good job, I thought, with the beginning of that movie. And so it made it, at first I thought, oh, there's no way she's going to get back. There's no way she's going to go back.
Sure.
But they made it believable. I thought they did a good job there.
Okay, I'll give you that. I was a little bugged by the opening part of that where she has to go before that council or whatever it is and kind of give her a account of what happened, and they don't believe her at all. She has no evidence to validate her story, and so they dismiss her. They take away her license, her pilot license or whatever, and really seem to dismiss her. And then it seems like in no time at all, they've lost contact with the colony, and they need her to go help them rescue the colonists from what are probably these aliens. And not only that, they have names for them. They're called xenomorphs. And I'm just, unless I misunderstood what xenomorph referred to, it just didn't make sense to me that they dismissed her. I didn't feel like they were trying to deceive her. I've got the impression they really didn't believe her at all. We've been there. We've terraformed that planet. There are no aliens there. You're crazy. You're lying to us. And then, all of a sudden, we need your help to go fight the aliens. It didn't add up to me.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, the purpose of that whole beginning scene where they went through the briefing and they didn't believe her was not to set up the fact that they didn't believe her. It was sort of, but it was really just to give people who hadn't seen the first movie a background as to what happened in the last Alien movie.
Sure.
To set up the plot. Now, I think, from a plot device, the fact that they didn't believe her initially aided the fact that she felt the need to go back and make sure that these aliens were dead. If they came back and said, "Oh yeah, we believe you. We're going to go back and bomb the crap out of this place or whatever," she would have thought, okay, they've got it taken care of. But the fact that they were initially suspicious and they didn't really believe her, and that these Marines were going out on a fool's errand, she wanted to be there to oversee it. I thought, at least in my mind, logically, that made sense.
I guess it still doesn't make sense to me, but at the same time, the Paul Reiser character, what was his name again? Carter Burke. He obviously knew that these aliens were down there. Sure. He was trying to weaponize them and monetize them.
Right.
And they, like I said, they had names for them. So I don't know. It was just, I felt like it could have been done a little bit more smoothly where they're acknowledged that they were there, even if they said, "Yeah, we've got them under control," and then there was some sort of outbreak or something like that. I don't know. I feel like it could have been done a little bit better.
Yeah, well, it was kind of Paul Reiser's Burke's character, I guess, was similar to, help me out, the name of Ian Holmes' android character in the first movie, Ash,
mm-hmm.
where he's the only one that knows what's going on. He's
right.
trying to lead them into the situation where all they have to do is bring back one egg, right?
Right, exactly.
So, to me, that wasn't unbelievable.
Okay.
But at the same time, I can see where you would have had a problem with the plot.
Okay. I don't want to belabor that point. It was just something that,
sure,
I thought was a little suspect is all.
All right, so what about the rest of the movie for you then?
I would put this movie into two halves. The first half of the movie I really thought was pretty terrible.
Okay.
And I was talking it over with a guy at work today, and this is like one of his favorite movies of all time. So it was like I was speaking blasphemy to him. But at the end of the day, I'm like, well, my opinion matters just as much as yours does. I liked it less than you did. Can't take that away from me. But the problem I had with it was that that Paul Reiser as a bad guy, I thought was a terrible casting.
Right.
He was a slimy guy, but I hated him. I hated him cast in that role.
Yeah.
That's not what I think of him as.
No.
Now, this was before his Mad About You role, but so maybe I would have felt differently had I watched this thing 20 years ago. But I thought it was a terrible casting job, totally unbelievable as a bad guy. And then you have, this is also blasphemy to a lot of you guys out there, but the Bill Paxton character couldn't die soon enough for me. His whining, just nonstop whining, was so annoying to me. So as soon as those guys got killed, and it was just down to
Ripley,
Ellen Ripley,
yeah,
and
the kid,
yeah, I was trying to think of the android's name, Bishop,
yeah,
and of course you mentioned Newt, and then the lieutenant. When it was down to those four, the movie got so much better. Just the picking off the annoying. I thought it was terrible acting on all the Marines.
Yeah,
most of them were terrible, and that brought down the movie. And then the other thing, and I'm kind of just stringing all my complaints together, and so you can have your response. The other thing that really bothered me was when Paul Reiser went in to kind of convince Ripley to go down back to the planet.
Right.
He had the lieutenant with him, and they were all like, "Oh, we've got these great, highly trained, blah blah blah." And I know they were lying through their teeth, but still, the lieutenant has only been on one live mission before, and you got two privates that are a part of this team. It was a joke. It was a joke. Did they really, if they knew about the aliens, which they clearly did, and how dangerous they are, they're going to send a ragtag, no good, no qualified group of Marines down there to take care of this?
Darrell, you don't know what the Marines are like in the future. Maybe they don't have anybody to fight. Maybe the Marines go and play pinball all day.
Apparently they do.
Because it's the future in the 80s and they've still got pinball.
So those are the issues.
Okay.
After all those guys died, I thought it was great. The action was great, the everything, but I'll kind of let you respond to all of that.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I have a response directly to that. One of the things is when I first saw this movie as a kid, this was like one of the most intense and actually scary movies that I had ever seen.
Okay.
And so I have that memory of it. Watching it as an adult, I have a much different opinion. I don't think it was terrible in the same way that you did. Probably because I have fond memories of it as a child. Right?
Right.
So that makes sense. That being said, there were a few things that I didn't like this as well as the first Alien, which is crazy because when I was a kid, it was the complete opposite.
Is that right?
Yeah, because, this was a much more intense action movie.
Right.
The first one was like a thriller, right?
Yes.
It was very suspenseful. You didn't know where the alien was.
Right.
You didn't really see the alien.
Correct.
So it was a lot creepier, right? The unknown. This one, they had like aliens popping out all the time with their tails whipping around and punching through walls. I mean, they were like super intense.
Yeah.
Super intense aliens, and they were all over the place, right?
One of the things I mentioned in our Alien podcast was that it was unbelievable to me that this, even though they were a mining team, that they would be sent out with no weapons on board.
Right.
Well, they had
lots
of
of
weapons. Yeah.
Well, and there were a lot of aliens.
Right.
And so, I think James Cameron, of course, went over the top on the action part, which is kind of what he does. That's kind of his thing.
Right.
So I thought it was good. I already mentioned that they did a good job of giving the backstory.
Uh-huh.
The first movie featured a cat.
Right.
This movie featured a Newt.
Yes.
I think it was much more sympathetic.
Yes,
if
definitely.
Ripley, if the cat had fallen down the little turnstile and Ripley went chasing after the cat, everyone would have been like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
The fact that it was a child
made
a
huge difference.
Yeah.
What did you think of the child acting in this movie?
It was okay.
Okay.
No, I think I made a comment just for
Yeah.
that the child acting was terrible. But
yeah. Oh yeah, you did. I see there. Yeah, and I said almost all the acting was terrible.
Yes. The end explosion was much better.
Yes.
Much better than the one from the first movie, of course.
Yeah, the CG was really pretty decent in this movie.
And in a typical sequel fashion to the first movie, basically this is the formula that every sequel follows.
Uh-huh.
They take what was successful about the first movie and then make more of it, right?
Yes.
But they typically, for the sequels, they change the location, but they stick to the same formula that made the first movie successful. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, they did.
For the most part, right? And
yes.
So the alien was scary. We're going to throw lots of aliens. The battle scene, at the end of the movie was intense. We're going to make the whole, second half of the movie a battle scene.
Yep.
We've got Ash, who's working for the secret company that wants the alien to live. We're going to put this Burt character in who's going to, trap Ripley in a room and create all the suspense, right? We're not sure if we can trust the android. We've got a much more intense android who ends up getting splayed.
Yeah, he did.
At the end of the movie. So,
and not only that, you had the situation where there's a robot voice, over the intercom counting down to destruction.
Right.
They think they've gotten away from the alien on the escape pod, only to find out that the alien has hitched a ride on the escape pod, and there's one more final battle, and the alien is sucked out of this airlock.
Exactly the
same formula, just a different location.
Exactly,
just like you said.
Right. No, it was cool that they brought in the mechanical.
I loved that
exoskeleton, right?
Although I honestly, when I saw it at the beginning of the movie, I immediately said to myself, "This is how they're going to kill the alien." It just seemed like it had a bigger purpose, and I was right. But it didn't bother me at all. I still thought that was a really cool fight scene with her in the exosuit fighting the alien.
I did too, and I like the fact that we got to see the queen. They hinted at it halfway through the movie. Where all these eggs coming from. I think watching the first movie and up to the half of the second, you just assume that the aliens were laying their own eggs, right? That not that there would be a queen somewhere, but there actually was, right?
Yeah.
So
she was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved the battle between Ripley and the Queen was really, really good.
Yeah.
Like I said, the last half of the movie had a lot of payoff for me and really brought my opinion of the movie way up.
Right.
I loved the fighting. I loved the that the android character Bishop ended up not being a bad guy, and the way that he helped the team, the rescue, the way he rescued them, the fighting, like I mentioned with the exosuit, all that. I liked it all.
Yeah. The if I'm gonna complain about one scene, it's the alien getting on the elevator and coming up to the top. Right. I don't know why that bothered me, but this is like the Queen knowing now how to operate an elevator that's going to the top.
I think not necessarily in this one, but in future ones, we'll talk more about it then. The aliens are pretty intelligent creatures.
I guess so. But yeah, okay. I'll give you that.
Okay. One other thing that I'll mention is I liked the use of the acid blood in this one. I thought that it was underutilized in the first movie. Now, there was only one alien to really speak of in the first movie.
Right. The only time we really saw the acid blood was when they tried to cut the finger, and it squirted acid everywhere. Remember that?
The finger in the first one?
When the aliens wrapped around...
Yes. Sorry, when you said finger, I thought you meant the finger of the alien, not the face hugger.
Yeah, what do you want to call the phalanges?
Yeah.
When they tried to cut it open and it dripped acid and broke through the hole.
So this time, it was cool. Anytime they shot an alien and there would be blood splatter, there were consequences of that blood splatter.
Right.
I thought that was really good. I was glad to see that. I thought they used that in some very smart ways.
Yeah, that's true. And we see that a lot more in the later movies as well.
We sure do. Yeah, definitely.
All right, thoughts on style, directing, and acting?
Well, we've talked about the acting already. I thought most of it was subpar, but there, not the main characters. The main four, I thought, did a fine job. The Newt girl, the girl that played Newt, she was a child, so I'm going to give her a pass on some of her less than stellar acting, but she did okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's a child actor.
Yeah, and Bill Paxton and those guys are good actors for this, and Paul Reiser as well. But they just didn't work for me in this movie.
As far as the casting goes.
Yes.
You're saying that the casting was not good.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Michael Bane, I thought, did a great job in this, just like he did in Terminator. He kind of had that calm, what actor am I trying to think of? Where he's calm and then he gets really excited and animated. There's an actor that does this. He's kind of known for this. Where everything's fine and then he gets real intense.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm not going to help you on that sort of thing. I'm useless.
That's true, Darrell. Yep. You are.
Yeah. Thank you.
It felt a lot. The whole movie felt like Halo.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you ever played Halo or not.
Some. I've never had an Xbox, but I've played it at different places before.
Yeah, I mean, you can clearly see where the inspiration for Halo came from. I think in this movie
and Metroid too. I would say.
Really,
I've played a lot of Metroid, and those. You look at some of the similarities of the Metroid and the face hugger. I would say there's some inspiration there.
I can see that.
But even the main character is a woman in Metroid.
Right. Spoiler alert.
So Metroid has always reminded me, even though I hadn't seen the Alien franchise, it had always reminded me of that.
Yes. What else do I have? It reminded me a lot. It's like they filmed the opening act of Terminator.
Yeah.
Opening scene of Terminator and this movie on the same soundstage. With the vehicles, with the treads crushing things, and Terminator was human skulls, obviously.
Right.
And this was just kind of space debris. The other thing was there was a long ending, when Bishop said we've got 26 minutes before the reactor blows up. There are 28 minutes left in the film.
They usually speed that part along.
Yeah, it's like slower than real time.
Yeah,
that we got there at the end of the movie.
That's interesting. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, so this is one of those things. And Darrell, I know that you watch these movies late at night. I also watched them late at night,
sure.
And so I was real cognizant of how much time was left. And he's like, "There's 26 minutes left," and I pull up the little finger slidey bar, and there's over 28 minutes left in the movie. I'm like, oh my goodness. But it was good. It was a good action-filled, intense ending to the movie, I thought.
I thought so too. Let me ask you, are you anything else there?
That's it.
As far as other thoughts, this occurred to me. It didn't occur to me in the first film. I don't know why, because I knew that there was a whole franchise built around this.
Right.
Obviously, when we did the last film. But as I was watching this, and there was a much more action in this one, and I think this is what made me think of this question. But Sigourney Weaver really embraced the action hero role. Yeah. And now we see that much more often. Uma Thurman comes to mind.
Yeah.
There's so many to think of nowadays with even the superhero movies. We just saw Scarlett Johansson. But even in that movie, in which I'm talking about, the Avengers, she was one of a cast. She wasn't the main hero.
Right.
Where we look at the Ripley character here, she is the main hero.
Right.
So my question that I'm getting to is, was there someone before that you can think of? Yeah, Linda Hamilton. Someone's talking about Sarah Connor. That was right around the same time.
Right.
But the Ripley character predates the Sarah Connor character of Terminator.
Well,
that was 79.
Yes, yeah,
just barely.
Okay.
Did Sigourney Weaver really open that door for women to be action stars, or is there someone before her? Or you'll know this more than me. It was just something that I was thinking of as I was watching this.
Yeah, I think that she was the first major white female action star.
Okay.
What's her name? She was in Foxy Brown. Pam Grier. Is that who I'm thinking of?
I'm not sure.
Was in a lot of movies in the 70s. It's kind of like a, Jackie Brown was the movie I was thinking of.
Okay.
But kind of a, an action star. In the 1970s. But
okay.
I think Sigourney Weaver certainly, from a major, summer blockbuster type role, she's the first one I can think of as, as this kind of reluctant not superhero, but this reluctant hero action star.
Yeah.
You had Ripley in the first movie. And there is a definite tonal difference between Ripley's character, to me, in the first movie and the second movie.
No question.
Due just to the director and the writer's influence, right?
No question.
Yeah, Ridley Scott puts people in situations where they are, maybe normal, maybe slightly extraordinary, but they're put in these extraordinary circumstances, just like we saw in Gladiator and Blade Runner, where they have to go against these incredible odds and then come out.
Yeah. James
Cameron, he had some of that, and you really get at the beginning of the movie kind of Ripley's motivation for going back, and she kind of morphs as the movie goes on into this action star, and you see that as well in Terminator and then Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Right.
But that morphing happens over 2 movies instead of just one, where Sarah Connor goes through all this stuff in the first movie, and you see her at the end of that movie drive off, with her sunglasses on in the Jeep.
Right.
Picture of Kyle Reese.
Exactly.
In the second movie, she's like full on action star, right? Kicking alien or Terminators, but taking names. Yeah.
Well, no, I guess he wasn't really. He was
a robot.
Robot
right.
from the future. Yeah.
Get it right, Darrell.
Sorry. Don't send me hate mail.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think both of those women were really instrumental in what we look at today. But because they both came out right at the same time,
right.
Very close to the same time. But yeah. Anyway, I just thought it was worth bringing up because women's roles in film is continuing to evolve. But I think this Sigourney Weaver, Ellen Ripley character has a lot to do with where they're at today.
Right. I mean, you look at Angelina Jolie and her career.
That's another one. Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
With Tomb Raider, and Salt and movies like that.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's somebody whose whole career has been pretty much an action star role. Mm-hmm. Even in Hackers. I mean, she was that was a joke, Darrell.
I haven't seen Hackers. Okay. That's why I didn't catch it. I was going to go with you. See, I trust you. I trust you, Clint.
Shouldn't do it.
You can lead me right off a cliff. I'll never know.
All right.
In the odd chance I've seen the movie, then I could steer us back on the road. All right. As far as our rating goes, I didn't put one in here, but I'd probably land at about a 7.5, or maybe an 8. The back half of the movie I liked a lot more. I've been very clear about that. So I'm kind of in that 7.5, 8.
Yeah, I would say watching it as an adult, probably going to give it a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Our rating systems are obviously, different.
Yeah. You have much lower standards.
Apparently I do. That's funny. All right. What happened next, Clint?
Well, obviously, Alien 3 happened next.
That's right.
Did this come out before or after Ghostbusters?
I think it came out after Ghostbusters. I'm pulling up Sigourney's IMDb page right now. I should have already had this pulled up. So we see here that she was in Alien 3 in 1992. Ghostbusters 2 was 89. Ghostbusters was 84. So Ghostbusters was before this.
Okay, so she did Ghostbusters before this. Obviously, Alien before this. Did Gorillas in the Mist?
88 was after this. Mm-hmm.
She was in Heartbreakers with what's that girl's name? I can never remember. Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Okay. I don't see that one, but I'm sure you're right.
Most recently, she reunited with James Cameron in Avatar. And did a really fantastic job in that movie.
That's right. She was also in Vantage Point, which was
right.
not too long ago.
That's right, and in Dave.
Yes, I liked her in that movie.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Of course, we've already talked about Paul Reiser being in Mad About You,
right?
As kind of his pivotal role. Bill Paxton had a pretty good career after this, being in Apollo 13 and
right.
Twister.
Yes, he had one of the lead roles in Twister with Paul Reiser's co-star from Mad About You, Helen Hunt.
Mm-hmm. Small World.
Yep.
Michael Bane, I'm not sure that he went on to do a whole lot after these James Cameron movies.
Yeah, let me pull him up. Yeah. He was in the Terminator in 1984, Aliens in 86 rather. He was in The Abyss. I didn't know that. Tombstone.
Was he in that? Yeah. Bill Paxton was.
I'm not looking at Bill Paxton. I'm looking at Michael Bane.
Who did he play?
Let me scroll back down. Which one did you ask me about? Tombstone?
Yeah.
Johnny Ringo.
Did he really?
Yeah.
He was Johnny Ringo in Tombstone?
That's what it says.
Oh my goodness. I'll never watch that movie the same way again.
He was in The Rock as Commander Charles Anderson.
That's right. And Bill Paxton was a whiny person in the Tombstone too.
He plays a good whiny person, I guess. Yeah, a few other things here and there. Okay. And of course, we talked about James Cameron earlier in the episode, what he went on to do. He's obviously one of the most financially successful directors of all time. Yep. Okay. All right, same vein. What would you say? We mentioned Predator last time as something people would like. I don't know if that fits as well with this, but I still think it's there. Obviously, the Terminator, I think, fits in with, if you like this movie, you like the Terminator.
Right.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think we're going to run into the problem where all of these movies are basically in a very similar genre. So the movies that we previously mentioned are movies that you're probably going to like.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing
Terminator,
to say.
RoboCop, Total Recall, all the 1980s action sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anything else?
I think that's it.
That means it's now time for Name That Movie.
Movie.
That's
Name That Movie.
That intro music. It's just an embarrassment every time.
That's so awesome, Darrell. I don't know why you're so harsh on it.
Because it's terrible. That's why. All right. Here we go. Aliens co-starred Bill Paxton.
That's true.
And features one of the most known and sampled movie lines of all time. We said it at the beginning of the movie.
Game over, man.
Yep. Game over. Bill has also appeared in 3 different movies starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, our first question is usually you're having to come up with 3 answers. So, name the 3 movies that Bill Paxton has done with
Arnold.
Arnold.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm not kidding. I was surprised that he had done 3 movies with Arnold.
Well, I can name all of the movies that Arnold's been in.
That's probably the best thing to do. But you should at least be able to get one of them.
Okay. Bill Paxton in an Arnold movie.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Junior.
Nope.
No.
I'm so glad you're not just rattling this off.
I do know one. He was in True Lies.
That's the one you should be able to get without with no clues.
Yeah, he was the Weasley guy that was
again the whiny Weasley guy
after Jamie Lee Curtis, right?
Yes, right. Now the other two are tough. He didn't have a real name. Like it was I think
like
one
third
of
guy from the left or something.
It wasn't quite that bad, but yes.
Okay. Commando.
Yes.
Okay, that was just the lucky guess.
Yes, I figured it was.
Was he in Predator?
Nope, he was in Predator 2.
Oh, okay.
But Arnold was not.
No, he wasn't. It was Danny Glover.
Yep.
Okay, was it The Sixth Day?
No.
Total Recall?
No.
I'm just gonna go through the Arnold movies here.
I know you are.
I already asked about Total Recall. Was he in one of the Terminators?
Yes.
Was he in Terminator 3?
No.
Was he in Terminator 2?
No.
Was he in Terminator 1?
Yes.
He was?
He was punk leader in Terminator 1.
Are you kidding?
I'm not.
At the beginning of the movie?
I guess so. Either that or like coming out of the kind of the bar, the dance club, maybe. They had some punks there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he stole clothes from one of those guys.
At the beginning, yes.
I think that was him.
Yeah, it could have been. So yeah, he was punk leader in the Terminator, and in Commando, which was done the year after the Terminator, he was intercept officer. So like I said, 2 no-name roles there, but I couldn't believe that he had done 3 films with Arnold.
That is funny.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
All right, so that's where we're going to pick up in the next Triplecast. We'll pick up kind of where we left off right there, moving towards our next series of films for your
viewing pleasure.
Viewing pleasure. There you go. Okay. Anything else?
think that's it.
Man, so I feel good that I gave you something that you weren't just able to rattle off instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's no way I would have.
No.
I guess if I was a huge Bill Paxton
You
fan.
would have to know, Bill Paxton inside and out. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, let's give out our contact information. We'd love to get your feedback on all of these movies that we review, and we'd love to get your suggestions. We got some suggestions in the other day to do a couple of Christopher Nolan movies, which we've done one Christopher Nolan movie, and we have a list of him already that we're putting together. So at some point down the road, we'll do Christopher Nolan Triplecast. But not next. I'm going to give you that clue right now. That's not where we're heading next.
Okay.
But if you have suggestions or feedback for us, you can call us on the Golden Spiral Media Voice feedback line at 304-837-2278, or send us in audio feedback via an MP3 file or something, or you can type us out a feedback and email that to feedback@goldenspiralmedia.com. You can connect with us on Facebook at facebook.com/Golden Spiral Media, and check out our website over at goldenspiralmedia.com.
I'm just totally freaking out that Michael Bane was Johnny Ringo right now.
Are you?
That's what I'm doing.
All right, well, while you freak out, I'm going to thank everybody for tuning in to this episode of the Triplecast. And until next time, Trianara.
Keep it rolling.
Triplecast is a production of Golden Spiral Media. Intro and outro music provided by Kevin MacLeod, Incompetech.com. For more information about this or other Golden Spiral Media podcasts, visit goldenspiralmedia.com. Copyright 2012, Golden Spiral Media.